An informed decision involves collecting data. So collecting data leads to us having our raw data. But of course, raw data is not convenient to look at. If it's a very short data, then yeah, but if it's a lot of people or a lot of data, a lot of numbers on your screen, it's not very easy to decide on anything or even come to certain conclusion. So we have to organize it, and we made use of tally, frequency, and all of that to organize the data. A much convenient way to look at data is your data representation, and one of that happens to be your pictograph. Pictograph has its own advantage and disadvantage, right? So as a solution, we have something called as bar graph that helps us to overcome some of the problems that we see in pictograph. So what is bar graph? Let's have a look at that. Let me give an example. This is a bar graph. Let it sink in. Just have a look. Try to read the words on the screen. Try to look at the numbers. Observe the shape. Look at all the corners. Right? Okay. Now, what is that we looked at? We looked at towers. Data that are represented as building towers. So bar graph uses tall or long bars to show how much of something has something you have. The taller the bar, more the items there is. Okay. So let's answer a few obvious questions. What does they do? Basically, what I mean is, what is the point of this bar graph? They help us quickly compare different things or categories. Is it so? Let's have a look. Okay, right? I can see that orange is the least and we have grapes that are the highest. So we have banana and mangoes equally demanding, and even apple and pineapple. It's much convenient, yes. It's so easy to look at it and tell a lot of things. Actually, I didn't have anything in mind. I just pasted it over here and I got to understand this data so fast. Why are they great? It's easy to compare, which I did. Again, I didn't read this point. I didn't remember this point. I just did it. Handle big numbers. So here we can see we did a survey with 96 people. So I can do the same. Let me actually go to this again. Where is my mouse? Yeah. So I can do a survey for, do a survey for say 296 people and have the bar. Sorry. Yeah. Of course, we can represent it a lot better by changing the scale. But anyways, see, as simple as that. Still, it's easy to look at and decide and stuff. So we can see the highest being our orange and mango. They're pretty high demanding, and grapes is the least over here. So it can be that simple. Super clear. They use a precise scale, so you can see a scale. So for this data, 96 people, the scale of 2 is good enough, making it easy to read exact numbers. So for this statistics, wherein you have 20 people and 14 people or 8 or 9 or 10 people, it's much easier to use a scale of 2. So it's very clear. So these are the advantages. Anyways, you don't need to know advantages. You don't need to memorize per se, but you should actually acknowledge it. Actually, you should feel it. Never just agree to a point. You should feel it. Note, there's a small key note, and that note is that there are always equally spaced horizontal lines. The bar graph is always equally spaced horizontal lines. See if that is true for the graph. Look at the bars. Look at the space between the bars. Compare them. Compare the gaps between the bars. So, are they same? Answer is yes, right? Meaning each pair of consecutive numbers on the left have the same gap. Okay, let's move on to the terms that we need to know. First is the title. So in this case, what is the title? Yes, this is our title. It basically gives what is that we are looking at. Now, axis. The main line that forms the framework for your graph. Which do you think is the axis? This is your x-axis and this is your y-axis. This is a horizontal line. That's your vertical line. Okay. Right. Next. Labels. So labels, let me actually show it here itself. It's convenient. So in this case, what are the labels as per the definition? Text that describes text description that identifies what each axis represent. So we have the x and y axis. So what does the x axis represent? Correct. Fruit. That is your label. What does the y axis represent? Number of people. This ensures clarity. In this case, in our case, it's fruit and number of people. Fruits and number of people. Scale. This you guys already know. Scale that we are using over here is 1 unit is 2 people. So 1 height over here is 2. So to represent an odd number, in this case, we can see that it is 16 and above, but less than 18. So this is 17 basically. And here too, we have 14 and 12 between a tower between 14 and 12. So this ends up with the number 13. So there are 13 people who like grapes, right? And key or legend. This is something that I have to show it to you guys with some other graph. So let me not do it here. And the bar itself, the rectangle whose height or length represents the data. All bars must be equal width and spaced evenly. Can you see if that is true? Look at the base of the bar. More than one bar, that is. Check if the width is same. And the answer is yes. All bars must be of equal width and spaced evenly. Okay. So that's a brief introduction to your bar graphs. And you can see that it has certain advantage. And you have to keep in mind few rules that we got to see with every example.